Hello there, I'm Tyler. We're playing Pigsmoke with the Gauntlet crew. I'm having some technical problems, so I'm not going to do my usual long-winded spiel. Those of you who've seen me before, heck, just go back and watch that. In fact, you should watch the first three of this series. It's been excellent. I have wonderful players, and I'm going to have them all introduce themselves and their characters. And then we're going to hop right into our exciting conclusion of Pigsmoke. I'm going to start with you, Paul. Would you introduce your character, please?
Yes, I'm playing Mortimer Blackrose. Mortimer is a new teacher in a life and death department. He looks like a proper necromancer from your first MMO game. Black cloak, hoodie, some skeleton hands coming from under his cloak and correcting his hair or lighting his cigarette. But he's genuinely a cool guy. And he wears like a black makeup, black lipstick, and everything. And he's wandering the streets because he just escaped the medical wing because he didn't think that they are healing him properly.
And I'm interested to know, when we ended last time, you had some strange mutation that was a part of your healing process. What do we see different about Mortimer?
Yeah, part of the thing is that he's like right arm is like sleeveless, and we see this like really thick tree bark covering like entire hand, and like the how do you call this part? You are muted.
I'm sorry, your shoulder?
Yeah, I'm sorry, shoulder and arm like covered with like a tree bark that we see right now because he's very stressed. It looks like very dead, like tree bark, like dark, black, cracked. But maybe when he will be in better mood, it will be like a more lively tree bark. For now, he's stressed because he's being pursued, and he's like in this like not in his proper cloak, but in some like medical wing, white healing things. So he's out of his element right now.
Excellent. All righty. Ludo, why don't you introduce your character?
So I'm playing Antonia Bandoni, which shares the unusual personality of being both a highly competent academic and a decent person. She is a regular at the university. She has been working there for years, pretty much her entire career. And she's used to feeling how things are going, collaborating with people, and she's usually being doped and dragged into someone else's project. Surprising, she has been kind of a wonderkind this summer against everyone's expectation, and things are taking a turn to worse now.
Excellent. Alrighty, and Asher, would you introduce your character to us, please?
All right, my character is Blaze Galaxy. They're a slacker. I guess we didn't do the roles for calling, binding, and sealing away. And he has a project with Antonia talking about that and make a magical AR version of Pigsmoke for this festival that he was tasked to come up with a committee for. And so they're trying to come up with a tech version of the school so that people who aren't here can come and experience the wonders of Pigsmoke.
Excellent. And at the moment, we also have you heading downstairs to investigate something that your patron, and will you remind us who your patron is, extra-dimensional patron?
That's true. Yeah, so I clear stress by serving Mother Monster, a vengeful force, purging a poisonous creature from deep in the school.
Right. And we've heard rumors that this might be some sort of banshee, that it was a former member of the staff, and that there's some sort of vault that they lock away problematic experiments and sometimes professors who've gone a little off, and keep them safe. Yeah, safe down there. And something has been calling for you, Blaze, and you have headed down the stairs in that direction. And we're going to hop onto that right off. So, Blaze, as you have come down the stairs from the broom closet, having busted through the wall to get to this place, you reach that bottom landing where you'd come before. And if you remember, there was this kind of river, probably the sewers underneath Pigsmoke. Last time, there had been where you could see a boat would normally be tied up, and it was gone. This time, that boat is there. What would you like to do, Blaze?
I'll take the boat and find out where this goes.
All right. So, casting off from the side, you get in the boat. It has a pole. You push yourself off and get into the current, and with your pole, you begin heading through the tunnel at the other end of this little landing. And it is quite dark in there. In fact, it is completely dark in there. Do you have any means that you for light, or do you wish to magic up something, or how would you like
phone.
to?
I'm probably recording this, so I have my light on the phone.
Excellent. So when that stark white light of your phone, you begin going through this tunnel, and there's drips and there's slimy walls around. And inside of your head, you could still hear that kind of high keening that had led you here.
Can I suggest a small modification to the scene?
Certainly.
Maybe we can drop Maxwell over there. For some weird reason, he would be waiting for Blaze to, I don't know, help or interfere, provide information. Because we know he was used to track this thing, so it might be interesting for him to be there.
That's not a bad idea.
Okay, just a suggestion.
That's not a bad idea.
We can even use, suggested, maybe we can use a small incestuous world to actually represent what exactly he is doing.
That's not a bad, that's a good thought. Yeah, why don't we have you roll then, Blaze, on small incestuous world, and see what maybe we've either got Mortimer's spirit, or maybe you are sorry, not Mortimer, Maxwell's spirit, or maybe you went and got the skull that he's trapped in and have carried him with you. But why don't we roll with that? And that's rolling with nothing.
All right, I got an 8.
An 8. You run into someone you really would rather avoid. You catch wind of bad news that will affect your department, or you see 2 other faculty members doing something highly dubious and you're implicated or drawn in. All of those are interesting choices. What would you like?
Let's say the middle one, bad news for the department.
Okay.
Like that fits this place that shouldn't be here.
All right. Then let's go, let's say, if this sounds good to you, that as you're traveling down here, do you think you got the skull, or do you think that Mortimer has just floated down since you're heading down in this direction and he was interested in it too, you know, having been in the ball searching for it, that he came? What do you think?
Can you remind me who Mortimer is?
He was the spirit you stole out of Professor
Maxwell.
Maxwell, yes, Maxwell. He's the spirit that was inside of the little ball that Professor
oh, right, and it got into his skeleton.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I would have that. I don't think I got that back from the other professor.
From Mortimer? Okay. So,
yeah,
as you're traveling through there, you begin to hear that voice of Maxwell. I see you've decided to go down into the basement. I felt the draw.
What's down here?
I sense darkness. I sense a terrible presence. I sense death.
It is very dark. That's true.
You are putting your life at great danger. You should be wary.
That's what professors do. We put our life in front of our students. You know?
And as you're traveling down, you It opens up above you, and the light of your phone shines, and you can see where the river would continue on, but there's another one of these little kind of landings. And off to the side, as you shine your phone over, you see this enormous brass door. And on it are carved runes and sigils, and you can easily tell that this is something that your department worked on, that this is something that the calling and binding probably were the main ones who put up. You can also see that they have not been maintaining it well. And where the wet and being down here and all of the slime, you can see that some of the sigils and runes have corroded and rusted away. And as you've entered this room, you can hear grumbly, spirity voices emanating from the door, as well as this high-pitched kind of scream. It's muffled, but it puts a shiver down your spine just hearing it. But if it is the responsibility of your department to have kept this thing sealed, they have not done a very good job.
Did I talk to my patron before this? I forget.
She had told you, said that had warned you that someone had put up the block on the door. You'd found out that was Antonia, and said, you have to hurry. They're going to move down here, and our chance will be lost. We won't be able to get to the monster, the creature that she wants you to eliminate, neutralize, bring to her, basically. She wants you to get it and send it off to her.
This sounds like delve deeper, like studying this place.
We can do that. We can do that, and what we'll say is dependent on your role. I'm not going to have it be, it's time consuming, but I'm not going to worry. We can do it as flashbacks. I think we can play with, if you roll well, it's something we can have quickly. If it's a mid-range roll, it's going to take you studying the door a bit. But yes, we could use flashbacks to give you some of these leads. So why don't you roll on that delve deeper?
Okay, I was just curious about the questions, I guess. But if we're just going to do flashbacks, maybe we should just do adventuring. See if I get hurt here, or...
Let me look here. I think that delve deeper still has the right questions for this. Let's go with the delve deeper.
All right. So that is plus research, which I don't think I'm great at. No, it's my lowest stat. Yeah, and it's not casting a spell, so I don't get to use my special ability. I got a 5. That's good.
Oh, so you begin looking at this door and checking over everything, but it's taking you a bit of time to figure out either how to open it, or what is your intention? Are you planning to open it and go in and get it, or are you going to try and tighten up this board and make it a bit stronger?
I wanted to go in, but I don't want to destroy this. So I'm trying to figure out, how to open it without destroying all these protections.
So you're taking that time to figure out how to do it with some finesse. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to you, Antonia. If you remember, we had left, you had sealed off that thing, but then you'd gotten a phone call from Professor Blaze saying, hey, you shouldn't have done this. I got to get in. And then you had felt someone trying to bash their way through it. And then that key that you had, which had, was supposed to be able to open the wards if you took it down there, but you had added some extra magic-y bits to it, and it's drawing you in that direction. What are you doing?
Well, I'll try to rush there, and I'll try to get the attention of campus security on my way there.
Okay. Well, I don't think there's no need for a roll there. You could certainly find a security guard or two. And so we'll say 2 of them you've grabbed as you're running down the hallways. And when you arrive at that door, you see someone has just bashed through the wall beside it. We see some brooms that are animated and they're trying to sweep it up. And you see the dean standing there. And because I believe we had the little bit of a complication, the dean had showed up. And he's inside of this broom closet as you come rushing up. And he's looking down a stairway at the back of it leading down. As you come up, he turns around. Oh, Professor Brandoni, I believe that a professor has gone down these stairs. I would follow them, but, and he looks down, and you may not have noticed it before, but to remind everyone watching, our dean looks very much like the Oscar statue. He's golden, kind of a statue thing. His face is completely blank, and so as he's looking over at Antonia, we kind of see Antonia's face reflected in his. But as he looks at these stairs and says, well, I would go down, but you look down and follow his gaze. His feet are fused together on a little pedestal, so he can't actually step. He just sort of floats along the floor. So it looks like he can't travel these stairs. Professor, I'm a little concerned for whoever may have gone down there. There are some rather dangerous things below. Would you mind terribly going and taking a look?
Yes. Do you say it was a professor?
Well, it may be a student.
That will be even worse. Well, I was talking with the CABSA, and they were indeed afraid someone will get into the vault. And when I talked with Professor Talimon, they were convinced that Professor Galaxy was somehow involved. But they have no suspicions. They were suspicious, but they had no evidence. They said something about a trapped ghost or something.
And, it's hard to see any expression on the dean's face, but he does sort of move in a way that you could tell he's a little uncomfortable. Well, Professor Brandoni, I should tell you, there are indeed some areas where we have placed difficult things for the university. Oh dear. If Professor Blaze is going down to that, it could be quite disastrous for the school. Here, and he has a little, pouch bag that he carries with him, like a messenger bag, since he has no pockets. And he'll reach in and he hands you, it's a little model of a boat. It says, there is a bit of a river. You can travel on it using this. If you throw it into the water, it will expand. That may help you some. These 2 guards, they should go with you. They definitely should help you. And, well, do be careful. I will see about finding some other members of the staff to come down and assist you. It may take me a moment, though. And he'll turn around. He starts rushing out to go find someone to come help you once you've already gone down. I want to find out, Mortimer, what are you doing right now?
So I think the camera first comes in and shows they are trying to rescue Mortimer. So the various magical infused equipments. It's like a little flashback, and then we see they decide that they need to attach this tree to him so that it will give him life. Because why not? It sometimes works. And then we do currently, and we see an empty window in his room, and he just barely falls off to the grass outside his window, and he slowly begins to leave the medical wing because he's awake. He's seen this, and no, they are not very good practitioners of my department. We know how to do this. Those are just and he just talks to himself, sometimes happens to professors to talk to themselves. So he does like complaining about their incompetence and that they should like get to him and learn about proper healing magic, and they're just amateurs. So I better leave them and finish on my own.
All right.
And he's in this like white hospital gown that completely isn't his style, because he's like still some bits of his like black makeup, and then this white hospital gown completely doesn't fit his like usual looks.
Gotcha. All right. And so you're heading back towards your office. Is that where you're heading?
Yeah. I suppose we would see Mortimer like trying to sneak by like on the outsides of the buildings, maybe like through the garden to get back to his cave where he has like a backup necromancer suit, because every proper necromancer has like a backup suit just in case.
All right. So you sneak around the edges of Pigsmoke and get over to the life and death department, and you're kind of trying to quietly open up a door heading into the department when you see coming down the hallway the dean sort of moving down the hallway, and he looks over in your direction, and Professor Blackrose. Oh, I love the new look. Very bright. There's a bit of a difficulty. Professor Bandoni is heading down to the lower levels of Pigsmoke. There's been a bit of disturbance. I'm trying to get some of the professors perhaps to go and provide some assistance. He leans in close. I have to tell you, there may be a bit of a problem with some undead down there. You may have some ability to assist in this. If you have time, and he points back down the hallway, you won't be able to miss it. There's a massive hole in the wall.
Mr. Dean, Mr. Smith, I'm afraid I'm currently going some little changes in my current state of being, and if we can make a small deal, I might be able to lend you my assistance. If you can just talk to this nice guards from the medical wing that I'm perfectly fine and nothing's wrong with me, I'm sure I can go and help out right now with this little situation in the underground.
All right. He really wants your help, so I don't even think we need to roll schmooze. I think that we're going to just have that narrated through. So he says, the hospital. Of course, I'll spread word that you are perfectly healed as far as I can tell. Yes. And he seems very distracted. I'll let them know as soon as I see them.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, in this case, I suppose another straighten up from being like sneaky thief. Is that like full like straight up? And in this case, I will go right there and deal with whatever monstrosities are in the underground.
All right. So you start heading down that hallway, and you can indeed see the hole where he was pointing, and he's rushed off the other direction apparently to go find more teachers and probably find that hospital staff, or at least stop them if he sees them. And as you get to the hole, you can hear from that iron stairway that's leading down, you can hear footsteps going down it. I'll come back to you in just a second. As Antonia, you reach the bottom of that stairway. Clang, 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 clang. You've been walking down. And there on you see that river, kind of sneaky, sewagey river there, and it heading down into a tunnel. What are you doing?
So I take a page out of Blaze's handbook, and I use the flashlight of my phone to light onwards, put the boat and right on top, following all the way, trying to see if I find sign of something that has been recently disturbed. There's probably a lot of dust around, maybe seeing footsteps or something like the sort.
You do. You can see footsteps that led up to where there was a ring where a boat was tied. And as you put the boat down, it does expand out to where it's kind of like a gondola. So it would fit, several people. It's about 5 foot long, well, let's say probably more like 7 foot long, fairly long. And looking across, you could see where down one of these tunnels, you could see where the mud has sort of been disturbed. You could still see where it's there's the pole had been used against the wall to push it down. You could see the scrape marks there. Above, Mortimer, you hear those footsteps get off of the stairway, and you're there at the top of the stairway. What are you doing? Far down below, you can see a light. He yells.
Hello? Anyone there?
Antonia, you hear this?
Do I recognize the voice?
Probably. You hang out a lot with Mortimer.
Do I still have signal?
No.
Okay, so I shout back, "Come on, just follow along."
Is it very scary over there?
Of course it is.
Okay, I'm coming down.
And you hear the footsteps descend the stairway, and soon there on the landing beside you is Mortimer. Mortimer, you see the little gondola, and there is Antonia.
Yeah, please forgive my hospital gown. I was freshly healed in the medical wing. I didn't have a chance to put a proper attire, so.
And Antonia, you're probably noticing that barky arm as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do I ask? Do I ask?
Do you ask about what?
Never mind. Let's go.
And so the two of you, I guess, get onto the gondola and begin going down the river. I'm going to flash back over to you, Blaze, as you've been working on carefully, not breaking these runes, but making it so that you can get to the door itself. You think you can open it without the whole ward falling, but the door is locked. Is there anything you'd like to do?
I'll try casting a spell to open it since my department put it here.
Sounds good. That's cast a spell. Are you able to use your specialty ability with that?
I don't think so, unless this is an extraplanar creature.
It is not, no.
Are we using one?
Straight up sorcery roll.
All right, so I have 0 sorcery. And I got an 11. Great.
Oh, fantastic. What's it look like? Tell us how this spell works to get through this lock.
I think it depends on the lock. Maybe it's like a...
It does have a big keyhole, but you can describe everything else you'd like.
I'm imagining like a magical water. Like I use my wand and it fills in the lock with like a magical water that figures out where to press to click the lock and then it slowly turns.
Gotcha. And I feel like I didn't have this be out of your school because it seems to me that calling, binding, all that, having barriers is right up the alley of your department. So, all right, you're using this water and click, 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 click. You hear the many little lock sounds and then bing, and the door sort of creaks open just slightly. From inside, that grumbling of voices, an occasional growl, that high-pitched ah, all get louder.
I guess I'll go in.
You pull the door open, shining your phone light in. Inside, compared to out there where the river is, it is very dry in here. And it's a hallway, stone, leading down well past where even, this very bright light from your phone shows. There's dust on the floor that's very thick, and it kind of got disturbed by the wind, so there's little of it rising from the floor. But no one's been in here for ages, you could tell. And in the light of your phone, which you could see probably 30, 40 feet with it fairly well, you could see about every 10 feet, there are doors, archways, and they have big doors made of bronze set into the walls.
Where's the voice coming from? Right, like I hear the screeching. Is
that screeching is coming from much further down the hall, but you can definitely hear grumbly growls from these doors that are closer to you. And as you had opened up that door, you in fact hear the sounds of something like claws scraping at the nearest door. Squeak, squeak.
Are all these doors locked like the first one? Or?
You walk over to it?
Sure.
Moving over to it, it has one of those little slidey things at the top so you can look in. It also has several runes drawn on it. And you see it has a brass plate that's underneath it. It says, Subject 1, Sasquatch.
All right, I'll go to the other door and see what they say.
Looking around at the one behind you, again, same setup, little plaque on it says, Not Very Common Archithusis, which is a name that kind of almost sounds dinosaur-like. And inside of there, you can hear this sort of...
So they seem pretty stable. I guess I'll keep going down the hall.
All right. You begin walking on down the hall. Antonia and Mortimer, you come pulling up out from this tunnel you've traveled through to an open area where you see a boat has been pulled up to the side of a landing. Off to the side, you can hear all those noises I've described previously. You see that very, the scribed and runed door and wall there, but it's open. Antonia, what do you do?
I wonder if we can close it again. I look at the key and I think, well, this opens, so maybe it closes too. So I try to lock with the key again.
You walk over to the door and start closing it, and clang, it clangs shut. And as you're putting in the key, Blaze, behind you, you hear that heavy door slam close.
I'll run back and hello, someone there?
Antonio?
Are you absolutely sure, Professor Banani, that locking whoever went inside is the best solution? The doors, they seem to be old and cranky and not in very good shape. I'm not sure that if they are meant to first line of defense or the last one.
Well, should not be open. That's what I know.
And it's about this time that you hear a muffled voice going, "Hello, is someone there?"
Blaze, is that you?
Yes.
Blaze, what the hell?
What do you mean? You're the one locking me in here.
Yeah, why? What are you doing here? Did you blow up a wall?
I have to deal with this. right? This is my department.
Yeah, but your department head told me that this should remain closed. This door, and she shakes it, should remain closed.
Exactly. That's why I had to see what was behind it.
Okay. Then you can see what is behind it, and I'm keeping this locked.
So you're keeping the door closed. Mortimer, what are you doing? How do you feel about that?
Professor Bandoni, I really believe that whatever is inside has been spooked, and I would gladly volunteer to get there inside and help Professor Galaxy deal with whatever he needs to do. I feel that my expertise in dealing with ghosts might be very valuable.
Well, if that is the point, the three of us enter, and we close the door behind us.
All right, so you open up the door. The two of you come in. You see Professor Galaxy, and as you close the door behind you, you're going to take your key and lock it?
Yeah.
Click, click. We hear multiple locks of it clank, 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 clank as it seals back closed. And now all three of you can hear distinctly. You can hear that scratching on the door just to the side of you. You can hear that kind of wailing down the hall and grumble noises coming from these doors.
Where did you get the key?
From your head of department. I wonder why you don't have one.
All right.
So,
These are obviously some sort of experiments.
So, Professor Galaxy, what is your plan of being here? I know of one very dangerous spirit being kept here, but I don't know about the other. I look at all the doors being closed over here. I wasn't aware that they were holding here more than one entity.
Yes, I think they're related somehow. That's why they're all down here together.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, from your department head, this is all the creatures that they cannot control, that they shoved it here.
Yes, so returning to my question, Professor Galaxy, what are you trying to accomplish over here? Shouldn't we just make sure that these doors stay locked and safe and that the university is safe from these creatures?
yeah, Professor Galaxy, are you going to let them in on your patron's desire? Or are you going to try and tell them a bit of a fib?
I guess a bit of a fib that we can't just bind things away, right? That we have to check on them every once in a while to make sure they stay down here.
All right. So sounds like you're kind of hedging the truth. You're being a little cagey here.
Right.
So I'm going to ask, first off, Antonia, you've worked with Blaze quite a bit. What out of how Professor Galaxy tells you this makes you think he's not telling you the whole truth here? What is it that gives him away a little bit to you?
So I noticed that it became especially clear when I caught in the backlog of his channel that whenever he's nervous or talking about the topic he really does not dominate, he tends to adopt a very rigid posture that after you watch I watch his shows, I notice that it's when he's reading from a script, and when he lies, it's like he's reading from a script, even if it's one that is only on his mind.
Okay, so you kind of got an idea that this isn't the whole story. Mortimer, why don't you tell me, what is it that you see or hear down the hallway that makes you realize there's something outside of the doors? Something that has escaped its little cell.
I think that maybe. Yeah, I think. What can it be? This is like a dungeon, a very dungeon.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that whatever creatures are moving here, even if they're ghosts or something, they're not supposed to like leave so many of like some white substance over the like floor and the walls, and these are sign of a ghost who is like almost able to materialize again and interact with the world, so that they leave their ectoplasm somehow interacts with the stony floor.
Oh, I like that. Okay. And so, as Professor Brandoni and Galaxy are kind of having this conversation, Mortimer, you're looking down the hallway and you could see on the dust these little fingers of white, almost like spider webs that are crawling down the walls and crawling across the floor in your direction.
Professors, we should put aside our differences and focus on the task at hand. I think whatever was kept here is approaching, and I like look panically for my wand. I can't really find it. So, but luckily there is some skeleton lying in the corner. So let's just like approach it, like break off his arm, make like the middle finger stand out, and now I have my new wand, and I like point at the darkness, like show yourself. Who is there?
Oh, excellent. As you say this, the dust from the floor begins to swirl, and you see it forming up into this kind of translucent, tall, thin man. He has a hooked nose. His eyes are shining a baleful green. He says, "You are late for class. I can't stand truancy." And as he reaches up, he has this enormous paddle. He goes, "Someone is going to get the spanking." And it seems to be approaching you. Professor Antonia, what do you do?
I point out to Mortimer, but Professor, we had to take him to the hospital. That's why we are late.
Excellent. Why don't we roll a schmooze? Let's see if you can convince this spectral teacher that what you're doing.
Okay, where did I put that? There.
And that'll be with charisma.
Ooh, 7. Not great.
All right, that's not horrible though. It floats closer, and as it does, you can smell chalk and pipe smoke, and its eyes are blazing at you. Hospital? Ah, students get hurt all the time. He looks over. I will come with you. We'll go to the hospital wing. Lead on. Doesn't seem like this ghost has a really good idea of where the hospital wing is, though. So as he says, lead on, it's like you could probably go anywhere, but he's planning on coming with you at the moment.
For sure, Professor. And I point to the others to circle around the cells.
All right, so Blaze, this thing is floating here beside you, and you can hear Maxwell's voice go, "Oh dear, that's Professor Poole. He was put here, because he was a little overusing his corporal punishment privileges with the students. They say he was mad." What are you doing, Blaze?
I think I'll try to lead him back where he came from.
So back down the hallway?
Yeah.
All right. So, Mortimer, you following along as everyone begins heading down the hallway, going past the cells?
Well, I think the argument is that they are escorting me back to the medical wing, so I have to go because that's the only thing that makes sense. So
Okay.
yes, of course, medical wing, this direction, down the hallway. Yes, of course.
All right. As y'all start walking down there, behind you, Professor Pool's specter is walking behind with his evil look, and he's tapping that paddle on his hand, following along behind you. As you pass doors, and behind these doors, you'll hear growls, and you'll hear occasionally voices. Oh, let me out! Let me out! My research isn't done yet! And as you go by, there's plaques on them. You can see the terrible what's-it is in one of them. Off to the other side, you see Professor Chandler. Overindulged is one of the things underneath it. We go past others. All the time, though, that wail is getting louder ahead of you.
So just to clarify, because I have spoken with Ichiro about the ghost that is here, and he told me that it was the previous head of Life and Death department.
Correct.
He gave me the name. Is this Professor Pooh? What was his name?
That is not the one, and I will give us real quick a name for that person. We're going to call her Professor Sinead.
Okay.
And she was the professor that had gotten too deep. The head of Life and Death gotten too deep into the death area there. And it had cracked her mind and apparently had turned her into, I believe we've heard, Banshee. So, continuing down the hallway. Yes?
I think I would like face. And what was the name of this professor, or do I not recognize him? Because I know Maxwell told Blaze his name. This professor that is following us.
Yeah, I don't know if you know his name. Okay. Unless Blaze, did you tell? Have you mentioned his name? Have you said his name out loud?
The spectral entity or the Banshee thing?
The spectral entity, Professor Poole.
I'll mention his name. Yeah.
Okay.
Come follow us, Professor Poole.
There we go. So yes, Mortimer, you've heard his name.
But Professor Poole, is Professor Sinead somewhere around here as well?
As you say that, his spectral eyes kind of open wider, but the glow in them gets a little smaller. Oh, you don't want to see her. She's always in a foul mood. They keep her in the disturbed people's wing. Like he's not.
So Professor, can you tell us where's your office? Maybe we can use the first aid kit in your office instead of going all the way back to the medical wing.
Oh, yes. I keep many elixirs. And he will, as you're heading down the hall, he'll stop at one of these cell doors. And it's still closed, but you can see that sliding window is open, and there are hair cracks all around that window, like something cracked through it. And as he comes up to that cell, he reaches down towards the door handle, and his hand passes just right through it. Students seem to have played a trick on me. I can't open my door. Oh, how I hate those students. Smack, smack, smack.
Guess I'll open the door for him.
You reached out. It does have a lock on it. So as you try it, it's locked. But you may have a key.
Does it have one of the window things I can look in to see if
anyone's like there? I say, the window is open with those cracks. As you peek in the window, you do see where there is set up. It looks like an office. You can see that this office is dust covered. There's a desk, a chair. You can see there are books. You also see there is this sort of like a kind of like a sawhorse, a thing, or a pommel horse where people can get on it. But that's probably where he would have students bend over when he paddles them. And it's the only thing that's still shiny and clean in here. And sitting at the desk, in its chair, there is a skeleton still wearing all of the wizardly robes and everything like that.
So I suppose as we are there at the so it's clear that he somehow leaked through the cracked glass.
Yes.
Yeah. So I suppose that Mortimer would just take his like severed arm from the skeleton down the corridor, pointed at him, and say, "I hereby order you, Professor Poole, to get back to your office and stay there until we are done with here."
Oh, excellent.
Infuse magic.
All right, let's cast a spell.
Yeah, well, let's do it. Oh wow, I rolled double sixes.
Oh, fantastic! Woohoo! It's about time for you to get the luck back in your favor. All right. So, casting the spell, we still have one little problem that when we always have some problem with magic. Does this solution become someone else's problem? Is the magic short-lived or otherwise temporary? Does it affect more than you intended? Or does something go wrong and you get hurt, which you probably don't want to get hurt right now?
Yeah. So I want to say that the solution becomes someone else's problem. So you mentioned that this is the other department that actually takes care of this.
Yes.
So I suppose as my magic forces him back into the office, the glass like breaks completely, and I just like have to like leave part of my wand in it as a seal that he cannot like cross back immediately. But clearly someone from the department that deals with binding and sitting away with like come here and like properly deal with it, because it's like a temporary solution.
Excellent. All right. So yes, oh, damn you, students! And we see his form kind of slash into that glass, and it squeezes through from the legs first, so his head's still outside last. As he's going, no, damn you! The glass smashes across. The spirit goes slamming back into the skeleton over behind the desk. It sort of rattles a little bit, and the green glow in his eyes. He's going, "This isn't my office hours!" As you put your wand up there to hold him in. This will definitely have to be looked at by the other department. But I think you get to clear a burnout.
Yeah. Let's proceed to find whatever is disturbing this halls, professors. Now that one ghost is put in place.
As you continue down, you reach the end of this hallway, and there's a spiral staircase leading down. Behind you, you hear the grumbles and growls, but from below, there's still that keening. And as you begin descending the stairway, getting down, it goes down 30, maybe 40 feet. And by the light of your phones, you're shining around. When you get to the very bottom, though, your way is obscured. Your light just hits this white across everything. Spider webs. Lots of spider webs cover the entire hall ahead of you and mean you can only see a very short distance. Professor Brandoni, what do you do?
I reach out for some nearby debris and I gently disturb the webs to see if I hear something.
As you kind of use this probably like an old torch they had in a sconce, maybe, you know, using the stick of it, you kind of move these aside. They rip. They're very thick. And as they rip, you see some of them begin to move. And you can hear kind of a scratchy, skittery noise from further in the hall. Professor Blaze, what do you do?
I'll just go ahead.
All right. Bravely striding forward, busting aside these webs.
Makes it a little harder to film, but...
Wait! We have the system. The problem that we could not triangulate before was because we were trying to do it from outside. Maybe we can use the prototype of the AR Pigsmoke to map this so that we can actually see what is there without having to go deep into the spider web.
Ooh, there's an interesting idea. Do we think that's casting a spell?
Probably.
Use that? Okay.
Either that or self-sufficient, but I think more cast a spell.
Okay. But you're right. I think that self-sufficient would work as well if you'd rather.
Okay, I'll rather.
All right, let's have you do that.
And will we have to go to my office to look at this place?
I mean, we set up the Wi-Fi with the plants everywhere. 7.
All right, so you're putting together something that'll let you kind of see the map, but you've got to choose one on there. It's got unwanted side effects. I don't know if you could use the rare component or ingredient because you need
I think unwanted side effects is the only that makes sense on the fiction.
All right. So as you what does it look like? What is the visual of this? Are you pulling up like an illusionary terrain you guys can look at? Or do you have like a screen or a map? What is it that you pulled up to access?
I have an app, an AR map that I have that it's still only logged to my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So that logs through the plants that permeate the entire place, and they start connect, and I load the app, and I raise my phone, and I see the corridor through my phone.
Oh, excellent. All right. So as you pull this up, you can see that this area here is it's open, pretty good size area, and that there is, you could see from the little AR map, there's a door, really big, like double door on the right, another one on the left. This chamber goes down probably 100 feet. It's very large. And at the back end of it, there's another stairway. But you could see walking kind of a... I think that it uses symbols rather than like an actual picture. You see a symbol walking around on the wall of this chamber. And it has like a little label underneath it. It's just like a glowing dot with a little label. And underneath it, it says Tiny, as though that's maybe the name of something. But you could see it's moving up along the side of the wall towards you.
So I'm raising my phone and I'm putting it in front of the others so that they can see. We should get ready for Tiny.
Professor Blackrose, what are you doing seeing this thing on the screen?
Yeah, I don't suppose there are any other skeletons lying around that I could use somehow. I just like look around. Maybe there are some like left bones or some remains of some other creatures lying around.
In fact, as you look to your right, you see that there is all wound up in this spider silk. There appears to be a body. There is the last remains of skin on it. You can see it's wearing one of the Pigsmoke student uniforms. And it is all wrapped up in this spider web. It seems to have been here for a long time.
Only one, or as we take a look, we see like more of them, just like couple, so that I can have a little couple of skeletons.
Looking around, there's about half a dozen hanging down from the ceiling, stuck up against the wall, all of them wrapped up in this spider silk.
It seems someone or this creature have been luring out students to. So these are all the students that were missing last year, probably, or maybe even some years ago. I think we will need their help to deal with whatever Tiny is, as we will have to deal with the spirit that resides here. So, Mortimer will just like stand up and just like, gosh, I need a wand to cast some spell, and then we see like on the tree bark like a little tiny tree new branch forms, so like a little wand land. Oh, thank you. Cracks it. Like a little tiny wand. Dead students, I command you to come to my assistance.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think that's either. Well, let's see.
I'm trying to regain use of my Walking Dead so that we can.
I think that works. Yeah, I don't even think we'll need to roll. We'll let the roll be when you use them. So as you say this, these bony little figures start pulling aside the spider webs. The one from the ceiling goes click, 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 falls down. All the bones fall and then reform and stand back up. From the walls, they come clittering up to you, and now there's these 6 bony students standing around you. As they form up beside you, though, through the spider webs, you see a figure, tiny on the screen, has climbed down from the wall and is moved where it's only about 20 feet away. It's, you have you can't see physically, you could see on the app, but through the spider webs, your camera's still bouncing, but you can see motion back there. And you hear a voice. Who's coming to my lair? Is someone here wanting a hug? I give very good hugs.
Yes, unless someone else wants to chat up the tiny.
Don't make me call it HR.
As you say that, and Mortimer, you're like, yes. Blaze, what are you doing as this is happening?
Yeah, I think I'll approach and be like, I have someone who wants to see you.
All right, so you're peeling back the spider webs as you head forward. Mortimer, it sounds like you're kind of close behind, and Antonia, you're kind of, standing back a bit. So Blaze, as you pull aside the spider webs, in front of you, about 4 feet, you see this enormous spider head. Its multiple eyes glistening, has big fangs, and dripping from them some sort of slimy goo. And as you come close, oh, little fly, do you want a hug? You see motion on either side of the webs.
I think I'll cast a spell to try to give it to Mother Monster.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see how that goes.
Wouldn't go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is casting a spell on an extraplanar entity, I imagine.
No, this is not extraplanar. This is an experiment gone wrong right here in the old prime material.
All right. So just this flat roll then. And I got a 6.
Ooh. As you begin casting with speed you couldn't have imagined, this spider moves forward and hairy legs wrap around you. I know you want a hug. And behind you, Mortimer, you see this motion as suddenly Blaze is just whoosh, whipped back into the webs. Blaze, Tiny was not kidding. It's a really close, tight, warm hug. You feel the legs wrap around you. The little hairs on it, though, are kind of sticky, and it makes you itch. Take one burnout as this is like disturbing you, and you're past the face, which as you go by, a little bit of that goo drips onto your shoulder, and it kind of sizzles on your clothes, and it passes you back to legs at the sense this enormous body, and it begins wrapping you up with silk. Mortimer, you're right behind. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how to describe it. Which way there? Yeah, I'm looking what we have available in the fiction to us.
Well, you have your skeletons. You can try and have them go up there and wrestle with it, try and pull Galaxy away, or you can try and talk to this thing. What would you like to do?
Sounds like a great time for Scathe.
Right?
Great Mother Spider. Now that you had a hug, would you mind telling us what are you doing in this dark caves?
The voice goes, I've been waiting and waiting. Little students come. I give them hugs. Then they stop wanting my hugs. Oh, I hate when they stop wanting my hugs. But if you let me out, I could hug lots of students. All the students could get hugs.
Yes, but of course, why don't we make a little agreement over here where you will show us how the little students came over to be here, and in exchange I will take you to work with the paraveterinary department, and there you can have as many students as you want. Of course, I'm intending then to pass her on as an experiment, not like anything else. But it's details.
Whoa, yes, and it moves, and as it does, it sort of tears aside the spider web. So for the first time, you get a good look at Tiny, and it is massive. It is about 10 foot across from leg to leg. Its enormous head, and you can see, kind of wrapped up around its abdomen, getting wrapped up with more silk, is Professor Blaze, who's probably going, but is getting wrapped up with spider silk as it moves over towards where, close to where one of those big double doors is, and it kind of climbs a bit up the wall, and you could see as it moves aside the webs, there's this crack in the ceiling. Says, the little children, they come to me here. They fall through and they're so hurt. They're crying. I give them hugs to make them feel better.
Using the opportunity that she crawled all the way back up and showing at this, I whisper to Professor Maloney, Professor, what do you think how we should proceed? Should we incapacitate this creature, or talk it out of its way? You are far more expert on this and have been working here far longer than I have. Do you recognize This creature, Professor Bandoni.
That's not exactly my specialty.
So what do you think? Try and incapacitate it, rush past it. You can see where, still hanging from a thread, but all the way down to the floor, is Professor Galaxy, half wrapped up in silk.
I mean, to be honest, it's a bit of cathartic to see Blaze on this situation. After all, he put us here. Yeah, but yeah, he's working with me on the project, so I guess we have to save his ass.
I can't leave him here to die.
All right. So yeah, let's get onto this.
I think I'll try to get it to release Professor Blaze.
All right. How would you like to do that? You're going to scathe it? You're going to give it a piece of your mind? You're going to just go over there and try and hack through it? The silk? What you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a piece of my mind. This is not appropriate behavior. This is not how someone that attends the most prestigious university in America for magical studies should behave. And honestly, I expect better from you. You will release Professor Blaze. You will apologize, and you will assist us in our investigation. Then we will talk and see what we can do about you.
All right, that voice of authority. Why don't we roll scathe? That's with charisma.
8.
All right. They have to choose one, but someone important witnesses or learns of your rudeness, and they are not pleased. Okay. So I think we see Tiny kind of look back and kind of pull its legs back together. I'm very sorry. I've always tried to be a fine representative of the university. Oh my goodness. And it scuttled back down. I'm sorry, Professor. It's pulling away the silk from you, Blaze. I hope you're not terribly hurt. I was just trying to give a little hug, and it nuzzles its big head against you. As it pulls the spider webs to the side. You won't report me, will you? Looking at you, Blaze. What do you say?
Not you in particular. We're making a report about this whole place. So if you can help us make that report, I'm sure.
Anything I can do. I'm not very good with paperwork, but I do a fine job of weaving. as it pulls the things off of you. But at the other end of this chamber, where those stairs are leading down, that screeching howl has begun to rise. And in fact, standing at the top of the stairs, you all see this woman. Her hair is long and lanky and black. It seems to be just swirling about her head. She's wearing robes that are just flowing off of her in a breeze that none of you feel. And she's kind of floating there. And she goes, "Oh, you shouldn't be here. There is only doom, doom, doom." As she screams this out, and you see Tiny go, "Oh shit," and back up away. Oh no, backing away. All of you, I would like to take a burnout as the sound of this woman's howl of despair and doom falls upon you. And Tiny has scuttled back to a corner, crawled up the wall, and is all up in a little ball away from it. Blaze, this is, you can hear in your head Mother Monster go, "That's her. Take her for me, Blaze. Take her."
All right, I'll try casting a spell again, but this time I'll know not to get close to it.
And this is definitely an extraplanar creature. This is from the negative plane of undeath.
Ooh. Yeah, even I realized it was using extraplanar creatures. That would be Mother Monster anyway.
Okay, there you go.
I imagine she's helping. And I got a 6, but this time I got +2, so it's an 8.
Excellent. All right. Well, with an 8, you're going to have to choose 2. What are you going to choose?
I think the first and the last. That's
all
someone
right.
else's problem now, and I'll get hurt.
All right. So as you're casting this spell, Antonia and Mortimer, you're kind of behind Blaze. As you know, traditionally, Blaze has not always been the greatest of wizards. There's been a bit of talk of the hype is more than the capabilities, actually. But you see this energy flowing through Blaze as this is going on. Blaze, tell us, what does it look like? What does this massive energy flow look like as you cast the spell?
I'm imagining it like the picture from Mother Monster, where it's all these like black and white lines intersecting, and it's like a psychedelic kind of pattern that maybe like fills the room with light.
Oh, cool. And it's hitting off the spider web. So, I mean, it's a full trippy 1970s look going on here. As this woman, she's, no. And it wraps around her and begins dragging her to you. Her scream rings out, and you can feel your skin get tight as the sound of it is just buffeting against you, which hurts you. As the scream gets louder and she gets closer, it reaches you and she begins to shrivel up. But her scream echoes throughout this entire place. Behind you, you can hear doors opening above. Those 2 big doors on the side sort of crack open. You can hear large beasts within starting like they're going to come out, as this has become someone else's problem. But it could be quite a big problem. Mortimer, as this is going on, what do you do?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what happened with this banshee that I was warned about, but definitely these big things are, I don't know, who puts monster to guard spirits? Doesn't make sense, but now it's not the time to think about it. Tiny, help us out to get out through the crack in the ceiling. Come, Professor Bodoni, let's jump, and Tiny will give us a lift to the ceiling.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
As that is happening, I turn to Mortimer. You're right. It will not make sense unless there was an enchantment that was binding the ectoplasm of all the spirits that we have to find, and used the spider silk as a medium to create a literal spirit web. Can you channel this?
And you say that to
Mortimer.
Yeah, I think you see like Mortimer is like, what?
Meanwhile, Tiny has crawled over to the crack and has dropped down Silk, so that if y'all wish, you can climb up and grab hold, and Tiny will begin pulling you out through the crack. Blaze, as this spirit has gotten closer and writhed up, you can hear Mother Monster go, "Yes, yes!" And there's this kind of slurping noise that you all hear as as Professor Sinead, her spirit, this banshee, condenses down, and then, like getting the last bit of a drink out with a straw, begins slurping into and through Professor Blaze to another dimension. And the wailing suddenly stops. The doors open, and comes stepping out of one, this enormous tentacle-covered monster. Out of the other door, as it cracks open, comes stepping a very small girl, probably no more than 7 or 8. She's wearing all black, has black eyeliner, black lipstick. She steps out. "Are you my mommy?" she says. And that tentacle monster looks creepy, but this little girl is scary as hell.
Yeah, I think Mortimer in his hospital gown and this little tiny wand only left, and this spirit and this undead students around him. Yeah, I will definitely need to come back here, but not today. I need to dress up properly for the occasion. And he just goes for the rope and starts climbing up through the ceiling.
All right. Antonia, you see Mortimer is getting on out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna get out too.
You begin climbing up the rope, and I'm going to have, because Mortimer took the initiative and really got this going. Mortimer, you're going to get to the crack, and Tiny's pulling you on up. The other two of you, though, I think I'd like for you to roll an adventuring roll as we see what happens to you as you're trying to get away. So, Antonia, roll me an adventuring.
Okay, 8.
8. Gonna choose one. You don't get hurt. You come out
that's
looking.
That's the one I choose.
That's the one. Okay. And so, as this little girl is stepping out, the tentacle monster whips a tentacle over towards you, and it just misses as you climb even faster up the rope. Professor Galaxy, roll an adventuring.
I got an 8 also.
Are you not going to get hurt? You
That
gotta come out.
good.
All right. As you're last climbing up the rope, the little girl comes up, and just as your feet go above where she can reach, she says, "I'm going to find you, Mommy. I'm going to find you." But you move your foot out of the way, scrambling from this little girl, as y'all dash up the crack, heading up. And I think we're going to take our break here. All right? And
how's your internet?
It's still not on. But we're going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to give a call again real quick to my provider, see what's going on. Hopefully that won't cause any problem with this. It shouldn't cause the hotspot to go out. So, but we'll be back. We'll be back about 10 till. Okay? See y'all then. for those of you at home, I'm having some technical difficulties with my internet, which may mean that we're going to cut a little early. But we still have, I definitely want us to get through some epilogues and a little Roses and Thorns. But I hope y'all have enjoyed Pigsmoke. Neat game. I'm interested to hear everybody's opinions of it because it does have a few issues, and I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts. But we're going to be hitting our wrap-up here in just a second.
I'm back. So,
Hey,
good
news?
No, the recording has not changed at all from the first time I called them. So, but what we're going to do is once Asher gets back, I'm going to describe out what happens here. And then I think we're going to give everybody a chance for a nice, solid epilogue out. And then I'd like for us to do a Roses and Thorns. So I figure we'll probably do another 40 minutes or so, probably end about 30 minutes early, which I'm sorry for that. But my power's doing okay, but I am a little worried about all my data. I thought that was a fun little delve down into the basement, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. So, as our heroes, our professors, are pulled through this crack, and above them there's the scuttly as Tiny moves through, and we hear, it takes a bit, but eventually we hear Tiny kind of go, ooh, oof, 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 and the sound of a big spider squeezing through a small crack as pops out, pulling y'all through into one of the student bathrooms. It would seem that in this particular stall, the entire facility had cracked away and left this big opening, which apparently students have occasionally fallen through. As you pop up, Tiny is there in the bathroom looking around, and you see one of the students who is hastily pulling up his pants and going, oh my goodness, and goes running out the door. The three of you comes pulled out of the crack, and outside, this student is screaming, and we have some commotion going on. By the way, we had brought some security guards with us, but these were Pigsmoke security guards, and so honestly, they had, at the moment we saw our first scary apparition of Professor Poole, those security guards have learned in the past that the smart thing to do is run. And they had done so. So, once we get back up to the top, I'm going to go around the table real quick to say what we do now that we've come back up. And then I'll go around again and hear an epilogue out from everyone for our summer session of Pigsmoke. So, starting with you, I'll start with you, Pavel. For Mortimer, what do you do in the immediate aftermath of this?
I think we see Mortimer scathing the Dean Smith. That instead of doing all as his pro students, we have encountered multiple bodies of dead students in this dungeon, and that instead of everything else, you should pool resources and we should do like a proper cleaning of these dungeons because otherwise I'm leaving and I just publish a paper. It will be like a bad stamp on the university. And what if Professor Galaxy published a video on his channel describing what more horrible things are happening here?
Oh, you're absolutely right. This would destroy the university's reputation. Not to mention those poor students. Oh, poor students. But our reputation. Oh, my goodness. No, we can't have that. Professor Blackrose, you're exactly right. I'm putting you in charge of this cleanup. No one could do it better.
And we see, like, the last case.
Professor Brandoni, what do you do in the immediate aftermath? And again, we'll do a longer epilogue here in a sec.
Okay, in the immediate aftermath, she rushes to her lab and she prepares some salt, and she immediately makes it a dose over the river that leads to access. And the moment she sets it up so that the salts drop in the water, and this makes this kind of hard foam, similar to an extinguisher, to isolate this in case there is a sudden emergency.
Oh,
And she sells the idea to the dean and to the CIBSA department, something that they should work together to have a fail-safe mechanism that covers in ectoplasmatic foam, and in case this happens again.
oh, wonderful. Cool. Professor Galaxy, what do we see in the immediate aftermath of this from you?
I think I use it for teaching. Bringing the spider along to the class and having the students deal with it.
All right. And so Tiny comes back with you to your class, and is there your students giving this look as Tiny goes, "Are you sure you wouldn't like a hug?" And that's what we see from the immediate aftermath of you, Professor Galaxy. And now I would like to hear an epilogue, and feel free to, you could stretch this a bit. What do we see as term ends and as summer ends at Pigsmoke from you, Professor Blackrose?
I think that he worked hard with this underperforming student on organizing this expedition. This student was Sir Jonathan Ford, so that he's ready for the competition, and maybe he actually, I'm not sure if he wins, but achieves good place in this competition, and maybe at the end, since Professor Zoe was nowhere to be found after her maternity leave, he's offered maybe we will, you performed very well during this last semester, we should extend our cooperation to the following seasons as well.
Oh, excellent. And so we get to see you being welcomed on to permanent staff, and we have little Sir Jonathan going, "Oh, Professor, you're absolutely the best teacher I've ever had."
Oh, thank you, Sir Ford. That's so nice to hear from you and your mighty family.
And I think even his father will come to the school, and we'll get a quick shot of his dad, who looks a lot like him, only older, as he goes, "Professor, you are absolutely a marvelous and wonderful addition to this staff. I think you deserve a raise." And he shakes your hand. And as he says this, you see the dean behind him sort of go, "All right, Professor Brandoni, what do we see going forward for you?"
I mean, we see this big bird view of the academia, and we see students going around all the classrooms, and then this flickers, and we realize that this was the yard. And we see people on diverse devices all across America exploring Pigsmoke. And then we have on center, we have Bandoni with the turtleneck, showing a presentation of this to the people, to the board members, and you can see them taking notes. And behind them, we see the dean Gridley looking at them.
Excellent. Oh my God, I love it. Oh, that's fantastic. And Asher, what do we see going forward for Professor Galaxy?
I think the carnival thing we're organizing went super smoothly. So maybe after the VR, you see at the actual school, we have all these carnival booths set up and stuff for the parents to come visit. And I never really used strategic incompetence much. So I think Blaze learned how difficult life is here. So he's definitely gonna try to get out of things more in the future.
Excellent. And since you haven't had a chance to roll it, let's just roll it and see how you do. And I'll give a little out from that.
From what?
your strategic incompetence. Let's roll it real quick.
Sure.
It's a shame to never have rolled one of your things.
I got 7 plus bureaucracy is 9.
Okay.
So I can get out of something and I'll assign me a different task.
All right. Then I think, and I just feel like that Professor Galaxy, considering your expertise, I think we see you, as this, the festival has gone fantastically. We see the dean over there, and he seems very pleased with you. And we see him offering up a whole bunch of seminars for you to teach. And you started deflecting them off to various people. And so as we reach the end of the Pigsmoke summer and going into the new semesters, the dean comes up to you and says, Professor Galaxy, I have to say, since I put you in charge of all of these committees, everything seems to be going marvelously. Professor Galaxy, it is my honor to extend you tenure here at Pigsmoke Academy. And so we end our sessions of Pigsmoke with perhaps our least accomplished professor having achieved tenure. But
I have to say, that's the most accurate part of this game.
But all of you come out doing very, very well. And I hope y'all have enjoyed our Pigsmoke. Again, little sorry that we're ending early, but we're not ending horribly early because I would like to get in a little Roses and Thorns on this. For those of you who haven't done a Roses and Thorns, I'll explain real quick. For those of you who are members of Gauntlet and those of you here with us today who might have seen, there are a couple of ways to go as an end of session thing. We've heard there's Roses and Wishes and Stars, which we've done in some of our earlier sessions. I like doing the last session with Roses and Thorns, which is a little more pointed, a little more direct. What we do with Roses and Thorns is we'll start with Thorns because we'll end with Roses because they're upbeat. But Thorns are where you say, some of this didn't work for me. Something here may have bothered me. Something I think could have been done better. And it can be about how I ran, how the system worked. We should avoid, we're not talking about how people played because, that's a little out of the range of what we want. But it's kind of a critique of how the game was run, what we think of Pigsmoke as a game, and maybe some thoughts on what could be done differently to fix it. And I'm going to start up here with you, Asher. What are your thorns looking over Pigsmoke and our sessions?
I think it was mostly the system. Like I found it very evocative and things, but it was hard to actually get anything done. I mean, that's kind of the point, but it's not some of the ways it makes it difficult aren't fun,
I can see that. Any particular examples or anything you'd like to expand on that? Or if not, that's fine too.
I guess publishing. We started to research for publishing, but it always takes a few sessions.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, so we never even finished the research that we started.
The second set. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I had to move around that, so I'm glad I didn't take it because I wouldn't have been able to even get that far. So
I hear you. Thank you very much, Ludo. Thorns for this the sessions and for the game.
Well, I think looking back, I think because this was a problem that I already expected from Pigsmoke, because it seems very similar to a typical PBTA game, but once you actually get it working, it's actually very different, and the engine is very tricky. My experience with Pigsmoke, with the people that have academic experience, it flow more natural because everyone at the table know what to do and what levels to push. So I think this suffers. This is something that say, okay, how do I play this game with people that don't have an academic knowledge? And I think it comes down to the lack of proper of having dedicated player principles, because then that informs the players. This is how this game expects you to act, and the things this game expects you to do. And because analyzing the engine, and then I have more detailed notes that I can share with you later. I think that Pigsmoke has two driving engines to work at its most Pigsmoke, which were actually things that we did not do much. One is compulsions. Pigsmoke, the more I look into it, it's like Monster Hearts with strings. Monster Heart does not work if people are not using string. Pigsmoke is not working if people are not using compulsions. And the assumption, because we both the way we played and the characters we made, we went along with everything pretty much. The game seems to assume that nobody does anything without being a compulsion. And this then makes compulsions generate a lot of XP, which also solves our problem with advances. So I think compulsions should be very important to Pigsmoke. So pretty much, and whenever it's not the dean or the head of department or a superior, players and NPCs should always trying to push compulsions. So also to generate these XP, to generate advances, and to generate plot. And another thing, and which again, the moves don't kinda sell that. So I can understand why you use them that way, because it's not very intuitive. But analyzing the engine, you should be really hard on the failures. And that and these because the failures here, they are the only way which you can present new threats. And the game, if you check at the engine, seems to assume that you are always putting threats, be it personally, life, things that kept appearing and getting in the way. So that way, because if you don't do that, the game master does not have any way to advance the plot too. And that's not immediately obvious, as it is like games with clocks. And I think those are 2 points of the engine that we were struggling with. And it turns out that they are easier to fix than it appeared. Because I started doing this analysis because we were getting disappointed that we were not figuring out the engine. So I think the more important things is ideally, we should have clear player principles, maybe ideal for each books, because each playbook plays a different way. We should always be going for compulsions, enabling other players with compulsions and playing along, and that the game master should be really hard on introducing new threats every single time there is a failure.
Okay, thank you. And I'll get to that when I get to my thorns, because I think you've made very good points. Thank you very much, Pavel. Thorns for the sessions and the system.
I don't have thorns to our sessions. We try to push the system into the directions we like. Yeah, for me, the system definitely lacks help move, and I don't see a reason why the system for sure should lack help move. And what I see for the first pre-sessions, we were not we were meeting each other and talking, but then it ended, and nobody was acting with anyone in helping anyone because there is no help move. So it's like really lacking to give this advantage to the role or something. The game doesn't seem to be at all about any kind of mysteries and adventuring, because there are no like there's only one move that sort of is like very I think high fiction, like you go adventuring, let's roll a move and let's have like entire everything happen in one move, because it's very likely you will be wounded and you can take and you can be wounded only once. So it's like entire big adventure. You go to the forest, fight the troll, fight the elves, come back wounded or not. And yeah, quick investigating moves. We had like no tools in this dungeon to like learn more, because we didn't have observed the situation, because the only move that is there takes a week. So we could have phrased it a little bit differently, that we are doing like expeditions, but we wanted to go through it like in 10 minutes, like in Dungeon World, and it's not made for that from my perspective, which is sad, because it's about different thing that I think we pushed it to. What else do I have? Yeah, and I really don't dig its experience points. The XP system, maybe it's about compulsions, but yeah, XP system is from teaching and researching, and it's kind of like very limiting, because yeah, you should be getting experience points from dealing with this threat, because we set up a problem for every department, and maybe, I don't know, solving department problem could give you experience or something else, because otherwise it's just like do research, teach, and forget about everything else.
I hear you. Thank you. And I'll do my thorns, which I'm gonna address a couple of things people brought up. I'm gonna start with, I agree with you, Pavel, that it seems like there could be a move in there for just observing something that isn't quite, because researching, I think I don't have a problem with a time-consuming research, because I think it's a game that wants to scoot along pretty, weeks going by. But there should be something in there for you to just look at something and get a chance to learn a little off of it, or have that also be a chance for, further adventure from misinterpretations or fails or something for that. I feel like there should be an immediate observation move in there. I agree with you where you're saying there, Ludo, and it's something that we didn't play, and I should have also done it with NPCs. It's those compulsions. Because I think you're right. That is probably an XP generator that we didn't utilize much. And part of that is, I think you're supposed to play with each of the PCs not wanting to work together, not liking each other, and basically having to do things to each other, and getting that option of I'm going along with it or I'm not. If I'm not, you have full agency. Say, no, I ain't doing it. But if you do, there's an XP generator. But we played in a way that we were kind of friendly most of the time. And when we did I think we did one scathe on each other. And instead of taking the XP, we fled it, which made perfect sense. I mean, it was right there for the narrative. But that's a weird way to get XP as a primary XP generator, is to either give up agency and do what the other person wants, or refuse to do it. And that one hits me a little odd. It also, I agree with that, teaching and publishing being as XP generators, they get a little samey, as in you're doing that same thing over and over again. And with the teaching, I get to introduce new threats, but at the same time, if you're going to teach every week and you want your weeks to go by quickly, then if every time you teach, you're getting a new student problem, that means each week you're having to come up with something you're doing, which will extend the time required before you get to that next week. And that makes for a kind of wonky way of moving the game. It's very strange that way. I think that it wants you to look in a high level at what you're doing. So adventuring, maybe everyone is supposed to just describe their actions. We make a roll, then coming from that, people describe what happens. I don't know if that's, I don't know how satisfying that is for me. Now that may not be a problem of the system. That may just be how I like to play. But, you know, I kind of like having some little bit of moment to moment going on when you're in a tension situation. I think that just generates a better story. We didn't play much with like purchase order and red tape, which seemed like moves that probably could have been one move that was more descriptive and more open to stuff you could do with it. Since purchase order is going to get something and red tape is dealing with that bureaucracy, they seem a lot alike to me. And if they'd extended kind of the neat stuff that happens for choices in a 7 to 9, maybe some suggestions in fails, I think that as one move might have been a little more useful. Might have been something that, you know, kind of got hit more, got used more. Let's see. I also felt like that I was going back to the same moves a lot. I was hitting that schmooze a lot. And maybe there just wasn't as much support as I might have needed to do different things with it. So part of that, I guess, is on me. Part of that, I think, is a bit of the system. And Ludo, I agree with you that there need to be clear goals for the team. There needs to be a section that really nicely lays out kind of what each of these playbooks are wanting to do, because they make small blurbs, and they make, in the beginning of the book, they tell you that, you know, you're trying to not work very hard while getting ahead on your people, but they don't give a lot of support for people who aren't already knowledgeable about academia. And that's not, you know, not everybody's going to be able to pick that up easily. So I think it could use a little more support in how it directs players and GMs of the tone and feel for this game. That said, I love the setting. I love the feel of it because it's sort of nasty and mean. You're turning that Harry Potter story up on its head, which is kind of a fun thing to do. I just kind of would wish maybe if they do a second edition, maybe go and look for a more support, and maybe looking for some moves that can quickly move us around in a situation. I just think that might help it. Before we move on to roses, anyone have anything else they might like to say real quick on thorns?
I would like to add that, in fact, I took a lot of notes about that. Because there are two ways to go like this. One is to make Pigsmoke more Pigsmoke, and then leave it very clear to everyone. Look, this is what this game does well. You should do this. You should avoid this. For example, one thing that I was beating a lot of time is that teaching, you should actually think it as a corruption move on Urban Shadows or something like that. It's something you don't want to do. You do when you are desperate, because it's the only thing that can really cause burnout regularly. So it's something that you do that puts you closer and closer to retiring your character. It's when you are lagging behind because you have not published papers and you have not accepted compulsions, so you are lagging behind to the other players and you are at disadvantage, so you have to risk teaching, which it is completely unintuitive, because again, the game, you are playing teachers, so everyone assumes that you want to teach. No, teaching is a corruption move. It's the move that gets you killed. You don't want to do it. That's why there's so much things to force you to teach when you don't want to. It's completely intuitive. So that's one path. The other path is, and you're right, either a second edition or like they did with Apocalypse World, with extra playbooks that change completely how the game plays. I think having extra playbooks that are more on the investigative side that expand the options, maybe having something on the side of students, other part of the university staff, etc., could change this experience. And I have a few notes how to change the engine and mix it with more something, taking maybe moves and even playbooks of games like City of Mist and Monster of the Week that are very investigative and fit the tone of the game. So you can merge the two things together so you have a more investigative Pigsmoke. I think especially Monster of the Week goes very well because it can become literally Monster of the Week.
Right.
Which, you face on those weeks, you have the Monster of the Week's moves, then you use the weekly moves of Pigsmoke, then next session. Yeah.
I think that's a
but
good
then
idea.
I'll share with you my notes that you might find it useful.
I would love that. Thank you. Asher, do you have anything else to add to Thorns? Are you good?
I was just going to say it would be interesting to explore the teachers' more personal lives. Like maybe you can help each other like outside of school or something. I just remember people talking about Harry Potter and they're like, it never says like where the teachers even live, and it kind of goes in here too, where we don't even know like what are these people's family lives like, or
and it does only like a little sentence or two here and there to say, well, you have your family lives to worry about. But then there's like nothing much in the book that talks about what goes on with that and where those difficulties might lie. So, yeah, I could certainly see what you're saying there, Asher.
Yeah, so I think something like that would make it a lot more three-dimensional characters instead of these kind of archetypes.
Okay, I certainly hear that. Pavel, anything to finish out Thorns, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
Cool. All right, then. Well, I think we're going to do roses then, which will end us on a positive note. And roses are where you saw someone who was doing something that you really liked, how they played their characters, something they were pushing, something about the system you really enjoyed, something about how the sessions were run that you really liked. And I'm going to start again with you, Asher. What are your roses you'd like to hand out for our sessions of Pigsmoke?
I liked the flavor and the setting, like all the different departments. I can keep track of them all the time, but they were very flavorful and I think helpful. And the things that we went up against, I liked how you brought in all the Fae because that was very different. And I like that we actually dealt with the problems because I could see just keep introducing threats and not actually dealing with them. So that was really fun to see the characters actually accomplish things too.
Cool. Thank you very much. Ludo, any roses you'd like to hand out?
I really loved how the university came alive, between all these different departments, all these things going on, the students, the way you keep introducing things moving sideways. So it really was very vibrant. And to be honest, for something that it was a 4 sessions game, this is a lot of density for a 4 sessions game. And I really like that. I liked how everyone really gave life to their characters. None of the player characters you could like pinpoint to their archetype. They were way more three-dimensional than it would seem, and I really liked how we kind of not only wrapped the story pretty satisfactory in 3 sessions, we still had time for an extra episode further needling that. I have very few 4 sessions games that are so neatly tied.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Pavel, roses you'd like to hand out?
Yeah, sure. Tyler, to you for doing cool NPC voices and giving every NPC like a personality. Like everyone was a little different manner of speaking, different voice of tone, different like approach, and it was really cool. Also, rose to you for making research and teaching interesting. It was not just okay. The results, something that comes to you, always was something interesting and cool happening. Rose to Ludo for excellent technobabble. It really shows that you have experience with technobabble language. Like I didn't get much of it, but it was fun. It was like if you were reading to me some you can find on internet like Star Trek technobabble that nobody can understand, and it was like almost like this, like, yeah. And when you told to me this thing in the down in the dungeon, like what? It was like really cool. Asher, yeah, perfect, colorful and interesting YouTuber teacher. I wish we had some more moves to show this, like YouTube. I don't know, star people coming in and showing. So, but it was cool concept. Yeah, that's for me.
Thank you very much. And my roses, I will say, I thought all of you brought really neat characters. I loved Blaze in the kind of maybe not the best wizard, but always moving forward. Sorry, my doggy's sneezing there. Always moving forward, always confident that what you were going to do is going to work. And it was neat to see that go through. Ludo, I loved Antonia. There was so many cool moments she had of, oh, this seems to be working. Let's work with this more. And coming up with these weird ideas that, oh, okay, this is definitely going to happen. Well, going from when we were building that plant, all the things you would bring in for that research, super cool. And I felt like Antonia was you could tell that long-suffering professor who's been here doing the actual work and never seeming to move ahead. I thought it was great. And Pavel Mortimer was perfect. There was just something. I loved his kind of goth look, the entire, okay, Mr. Creepy Wizard sort of thing. But at the same time, a real person underneath it who was like, okay, I don't get what you're saying. There was a lot of really deep, good play to that. And you kept bringing in cool ideas. I hope that it felt like I was incorporating stuff that you and everybody else was bringing in. So we were it felt like we were all building the story, because I always want that to happen. And it felt like to me that everyone contributed to what our plot ended up being. That all of us brought something in, and that ended up being the story we told. As I said before, a rose for the setting of this system. I love Pigsmoke itself. The university, the concept, the idea of students as extremely secondary in the lives of these professors. I think there's something kind of cool about the research idea. That mechanic, I think, is interesting. The having to get people to come in and help you with it, coming up with what each little step is you're discovering. I think that's a kind of cool mechanic. As an XP driver, as a primary XP driver, I have some questions about it. But as far as the mechanic of doing research, I thought that was cool. I like the ticking the boxes and seeing yourself advance in it. I thought that was kind of cool. Other rows I might give out is that I enjoyed that we all had little details that kept recurring. That we would come up with something and other people would run with it. That's a real nice show of generosity from a player that says, okay, I heard you say this and I know you're playing with that. And people kept doing that with each other the whole game. And I want to thank y'all for that, because that really, it makes the world more real, and it makes us all play together more tightly. Y'all did such a good job with that. So I definitely want to give a rose out for how we supported each other through this game. Thank you all so much for playing. I hope it was enjoyable. I really did feel like that it was a comedy of errors that we saw throughout our session, and I think that's what Pigsmoke is supposed to be. So thank you all for playing, and I hope you had fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I had
Thank you all for this.
I'm going
to this great moment.
I'm going to end the broadcast now, folks. If you watch more. Thank you for being here, and I'm ending the broadcast.